Alright, welcome back to Star Ocean Anamnesis. So today I've got a character guide for you on Bunny Ears Maria, my first character guide in JP, so let's go. Bunny Maria is an HP-based carry. Her first talent, Dealer Candidate, increases her attack by 20% when her HP is sitting at 100%, or by 10% when her HP is sitting above 50%, and it also gives her a 15% normal attack lifesteal when she's behind her target. So Maria has one of the highest attack stats in the game, sitting at 3500, and it goes up even higher with this talent, meaning she can do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, HP-based talents are a bit more inconsistent than hit count-based talents in JP, but luckily she does have a lifesteal, so that makes it a bit easier to maintain her full HP. And her second talent, Speedy Decision, lowers her evasion AP cost by 80%, and it lowers the evasion AP cost for the entire party by 50%. It also lowers Maria's AP costs by 30% after she performs a perfect dodge. The evasion AP cost reduction is actually very in character. It allows you to skip around the field like a bunny, which increases your survivability, but that second part is very important. The AP cost reduction is necessary for Maria to perform a proper combo, or at least a long combo, so try to get that perfect dodge every single time to keep this buff up. And then her third talent, Fortune Calling Beast, gives the entire party normal attack AP recovery when their HP is sitting at 100%. Normal attack AP recovery is pretty standard, although this one is tied to HP, and seeing as how Maria's lifesteal doesn't apply to other characters, you can't really consider this a party-wide normal attack AP recovery, so it's pretty selfish for Maria. And then lastly, Quark's Bond, which increases her attack by 30%. Like I said before, Maria's attack stat is one of the highest in the game, and with her good multipliers and speed, it allows her to do some good damage. And now moving on to her battle skills, first up we have Mirage Penetrate, a close range attack with a 280% attack multiplier. It has a 3 hit count and a 17 AP cost. This is her lowest AP cost attack, and it's very fast. Unfortunately, her other skills are just a bit better, so I don't really recommend you run this. And up next we have Blast Raider, a long-range attack with a 300% attack multiplier. It has a 4 hit count and a 19 AP cost. This attack is very similar to Mirage Penetrate, except it's better in almost every aspect. The speed is about the same, it has a higher multiplier, a higher hit count. It does cost 2 more AP, but in Maria's combo that doesn't matter, and you can also use it from range, so run this over Mirage Penetrate. Up next we have Twin Zapper Rabbit, a close range attack with a 350% attack multiplier, a 4 hit count, and a 21 AP cost. This is another very fast combo filler to get you up to that 300% cancel bonus, has some decent damage, low AP cost. Overall it's pretty good and I highly recommend you run it. And then we have Storm Edge Arts, a close range attack with a 1240% attack multiplier, a 5 hit count, and a 54 AP cost. This attack is very similar to Maria's Dual Blade Arts, except it has a higher AP cost, but it also does more damage and it's a tiny bit faster. And as you would guess, this is her main attack, and because of its AP cost, usually you can only fit 2 of these in your combo. And lastly, we have her Rush, Blackjack Vortex. It has a 5000% attack multiplier, and as a post-rush buff, it reduces her AP cost by 30% and increases her attack damage by 40% for 20 seconds. This is a pretty powerful rush with its 5000% multiplier. Unfortunately, that's no longer the highest multiplier. That honor goes to Daos and Blossom Maria with their 5500% multipliers, but 5000 is still very respectable for a DPS character. I would put this rush somewhere towards the end of the chain. Slot 3 seems like a very good choice. And then we have the post-rush buff, which pairs very well with her Storm Edge Arts. The AP cost reduction allows her to use that attack twice in her combo, which increases her damage output by a lot, and then of course the attack damage plus 40% is also very nice for herself. And now onto the equipment. You have a lot of choice, but always try to pick the element that is best suited for the fight that you're currently doing. But the first weapon that I recommend is a free weapon, the Icicle Sword. This sword increases your attack by 15%, it imbues your attacks with ice, and at Limit Break 3 you unlock the AP cost reduction. The attack plus 15% increases this weapon's attack stat to about 1100, which puts it a little bit behind the gacha weapons, but it's still very good. The ice imbuement of course increases your damage against ice enemies, and then the AP cost reduction doesn't really do too much for Maria, but it's a free weapon so you might as well get it, and it could come in handy situationally. Then one of the gacha weapons I recommend is the Blade of Suit. It has a 1262 attack stat, and it imbues your attacks with wind, increases wind damage by 20%, increases stun chance by 20%, and at max limit break you unlock a 10% HP recovery every 3 seconds. This weapon is very easy to get, especially if you're pulling for Bunny Maria. You will most likely pick this thing up as well, which is why I'm recommending it. The wind imbuement and wind damage, of course, make you deal more damage against enemies weak to wind. The stun chance is very good for doing element burst stuns. The HP recovery is also not really really necessary, but it does help with Maria's HP based talent, so overall this is a very good weapon. And then as the best of the best, we of course have the Vorpal Sword, which imbues your attacks with ice, increases ice damage by 40%, gives you a 10% HP recovery every 3 seconds, and at max limit break increases attack damage by 40%, and it has a 1264 attack stat. Like I said before, the HP regen helps with Maria's HP based talents. The ice imbuement and ice damage of course allow you to deal more damage against enemies weak to ice. The attack damage plus 40% isn't really necessary, especially considering that Maria already has that post rush, but it's also a nice addition if you do get it. And then of course the alternatives to this are the Arbitrator and the Junkyard Dog if you have them. Now when it comes to accessories, any offensive accessory like the rush combo damage ones will do. I just went with the Crimson Necklace, which increases critical chance by 10% and damage by 30% when the hit count is above 100 hits or more, because it makes fighting higher difficulty bosses a bit more consistent, and Maria doesn't have crits in her kit. And now onto her battle skill setup. This should be pretty obvious. The first one I recommend is Blast Raider because it's a very good filler and you can use it from range if necessary. And then the second attack is Twin Zapper Rabbit, again because it's a very good filler. And then the last one I recommend is Storm Edge Arts because it's her main damage skill, so you don't really have a reason not to run it. And like I said, Mirage Penetrate is also a good attack, but it doesn't really do anything that these skills can't already do, and it doesn't really change her combo either. And speaking of her combo, it's a pretty standard one, a normal attack into Blast Raider, into Twin Zapper, into as many Storm Edges as you can fit. It's a short combo, which means you can get in and get out very quickly, and Storm Edge can only be used once in this combo unless you have her post-rush buff activated, in which case you can use it twice. And when it comes to her assists, I keep talking about AP cost reduction for Storm Edge, so it should be pretty obvious to run a character like that, such as SRF Sophia or Adultica, so on and so forth. Those are all very good. And now on to party recommendations. So because Bunny Maria is a very selfish character, she needs a lot of party support, and for that reason, my first character is a Colleen. She can increase attack for the entire party up to a whopping 70% based on what the hit count is sitting at. She can also reduce the AP costs of the entire party based on what the hit count is sitting at. And she also has a very cool talent that increases all of the 5 main stats by 20% when the hit count is sitting at 100 hits or more. And then up next I recommend a Mystima. She has a 50% into attack conversion for all attackers, sharpshooters, and defenders. She can also increase the attack and in damage that all the enemies take by 20%, 50%, or 100% based on what the hit count is sitting at. And lastly, she also increases critical hit chance and damage post-rush. And then lastly, I recommend a Vulcan. She can increase damage for the entire party up to 75% based on what the hit count is sitting at. She can also recover AP for all allies whenever she uses skills, and she also has amazing hit count building skills. So with this party, Maria gets her AP utility and her attack buffs, which makes her job of just dealing damage a lot easier. Unfortunately, we don't really have any form of sustain for any of the other characters, which means they're going to have to bring some HP recovery accessories or some lifesteal on their weapons. But aside from that, Maria should be set. Overall, Maria is a pretty easy character to build parties around. All you really need are attack buffers and maybe some AP cost reduction, and you'll be fine. In short, Bunny Ears Maria is a powerful carry. She's got a very high attack stat, which means that attack buffs become even more potent for her than they do for other characters, and she's also got some good multipliers, which means that she can do a lot of damage. On top of that, she also supplies herself with some good defensive buff. She has a lifesteal, which procs when you're behind the enemy, but getting behind an enemy as an attacker isn't that difficult. And then she also has reduced AP costs for evasions, which means that she can just spam evasion all day. But one unfortunate thing is that Bunny Maria is very reliant on AP cost reduction for her battle skills. Her main skill, Storm Edge Arts, has a ridiculously high AP cost, which means that usually you can only use it once in your combo. Luckily, she does have her own ways of reducing AP costs through performing a perfect dodge or her post-rush buff. But if none of those are currently up, it reduces her damage output by quite a bit, which makes her a lot more difficult to play than other carries. Overall, she's still a very powerful character, but she just needs a little bit of support. And that does it for my character guide on Bunny Maria, as well as my first character guide in JP. It's pretty fun having to go through all of these new weapons and accessories and all these new characters and seeing what they all do. It's going to take me a little while to get used to it, but hopefully I can do that soon. Regardless, hopefully that was helpful, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Peace!